Can somebody start letting people in as they enter the meeting room? I'm pulling out legislation.
Did everyone have a chance to get out and enjoy the beautiful weather today?
It was so nice. I am so happy that it's not raining anymore, but I'm scared that it's going to start raining again.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for that contribution, Braden. I appreciate it.
Good morning.
Wow.
Good morning.
How are you today, sir?
Good. How about you?
I'm tired, man.
Yeah, I'm liking the thing too.
This is already live streaming. So
What's wrong with me complimenting his shirt?
There's nothing wrong with that. I was just giving a general reminder.
Haters
okay.
are gonna hate, Braden, right? Haters are
That's
gonna
what
hate.
I'm saying.
Thanks,
Allie
guys.
just wouldn't understand.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, everyone, as we start filtering in, just remember that this is already recording. We're going to get started at about 7:01 or 7:02. Reminder to everyone that is filtering in, we have legislation to vote on, which means everyone needs to have their camera on unless you've already notified me that you cannot, for some reason, have your camera on. You cannot vote if your camera is not on, if you have not notified us for why your camera is not on. Okay, everyone, does anyone have corrections to the minutes for the previous Senate? Any corrections to the minutes? Okay, there being no corrections, the minutes are approved as written. Ethan, do you see, is Nick here as well?
Nick is here, yes.
Okay, hi Nick. So we're gonna move on to the next section of our agenda then, since we've approved the minutes, it's new business. So we are going to discuss Senate Resolution 10, I will share my screen, and then the co-sponsors of that resolution can read it through for us and provide any clarification.
Thank you, Ally. I'll go ahead and read through this. This is SR 10, a resolution to co-sponsor the WFU David Petraeus event. Whereas Article 3, Section 2, Subsection 2 of the Student Government Constitution states that the role of the Senate is to promote the funding and operations of beneficial programs for the student body. And whereas the Alexander Hamilton Society is a nonpartisan, not-for-profit national organization that seeks to identify, educate, and launch young men and women into foreign policy and national security careers imbued with the Hamiltonian perspective of strong and principled American leadership in global affairs. And whereas the Wake Forest Alexander Hamilton Society and the Wake Forest Department of Politics and International Affairs will host an event over Zoom featuring former director of the CIA, David Petraeus. General Petraeus has an extensive career in public service, serving as the commander of the International Security Assistance Force in Afghanistan and commander of the U.S. Central Command. General Petraeus is a graduate of West Point and received his PhD in international relations from Princeton University. And whereas student government is tasked with promoting and funding events that would be beneficial to the student body, the AHS speaker event with General Petraeus would be beneficial to the student body given his experience and wealth of knowledge in political and international affairs. And whereas the AHS would like student government to co-sponsor and promote the General Petraeus event. The Public Relations Committee has agreed to create promotional materials for this event. And therefore, be it resolved, student government will co-sponsor the General Petraeus event and aid with the funding and distribution of promotional materials around campus. The Judiciary Committee shall work with the student government treasurer to ensure that the necessary funds, up to but not exceeding $50, are properly allocated to assist with the publication and distribution of these promotional materials. Respectfully submitted, Ethan and Nick Briggs. So thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll yield the floor back now for any questions that people may have.
Nick, would you like to give any elaborations before we do questions?
No, it's okay. I'm still going back from the extracurricular event, so it's hard for me to communicate.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes for questions. Just a reminder, this is for clarifications or questions of the writers, not for debate and discussion. Should you wish to move straight through to debate and discussion, then someone can motion to do that. Should you wish to extend time for questions, we can do that as well. And should you wish to skip both questions and debate and discussion, we can certainly motion through as well. So just if you have a question about how to motion, go to Caroline. I'm going to ask that you please, to Vivian for questions about the motion. I'm going to ask that you please raise your hand using the raise hand function if you would like to ask a question. When the timer runs out, I will not call on anyone whose hand is not already raised unless there's a motion to extend time. So with that, I'm starting the timer. Caroline Wright, you can go ahead.
Hey there, I just had a question for Ethan. I'm wondering if the $50 is coming from the Judiciary Committee budget or somewhere else in the student government budget.
Yeah, that's a good question, Caroline. So we're going to be working with Victoria on this, should this resolution pass. What we might do is just do an internal transfer of funds from the existing budget and transfer that over to the Department of Politics and International Affairs. If that transfer is not feasible, then we will simply take the money from the Judiciary Committee's budget and go from there.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Yeah, you can go ahead, Jacob.
Oh yeah, I'll ask the question. Just I don't know how I feel about General Petraeus just because he's a convicted felon and kind of has a history of terrible behavior towards people.
Do you have a question about the content of the legislation, or is this
No.
for debate?
Just for debate. Bye.
No, you're good. Any other questions? Yeah, you can go ahead, Nick.
Did the AHS chapter reach out to you in order to sort of present this idea to co-sponsor it, or was that something you thought of and talked to them about?
I reached out to them asking if they needed any assistance promoting the event. From that conversation, they expressed an interest in student government co-sponsoring to help promote it. One of the reasons for that, more specifically, was that the event is going to take place over Zoom. And there was some concerns that the necessary PR for an event like that just wouldn't be generated over Zoom. So that was one of the reasons they expressed interest in student government co-sponsorship.
We have time for one more question, if anyone has a question. Okay, then we will move on now to, sorry, that's my timer. We'll move on to debate and discussion. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. Please, if you would like to add to debate and discussion, raise your hand once you realize you would like to do that, and then we can extend time if needed. But once the timer goes off, I will only call on those whose hands were already raised when the timer was running. So with that, I'm going to start a timer now. Please try to limit your comments to 30 seconds, and then the co-sponsors will have time to rebut any comments should they wish. So 3 minutes starting now.
I just feel a little nervous personally about co-sponsoring this event just because of his history. First of all, criminal actions. He's a convicted felon for the first time, and he's known for having affairs outside of marriage with women, and he's had kind of interesting relations with the media, to be fair, from his position as general. And I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but just from our co-sponsorship, it just seems a little bit suspicious to me that, like, even just giving any funds to sponsor this guy's speech or discussion here on campus seems to me like not the best use of funds, even if he is an acclaimed and highly known figure in society, personally.
Ethan or Nick, would you like to respond?
Yeah, no, I actually appreciate that question, Jacob. It's something we discussed in committee as well. I think the first thing worth clarifying is that by co-sponsoring the event, we are by no means endorsing any of the scandals or criminal activities that General Petraeus took part of. Indeed, I think one of the reasons why it might be valuable having him on campus is to ask him about those specific activities, or at the very least, ask him if he learned anything from those obviously scandalous affairs. But I think his record is distinguished. I think he has long service both in the government and for this country. And so it is for that reason that we thought a co-sponsorship would be worthwhile. Insofar as the funding is concerned, we are giving no money to General Petraeus. All funding would be appropriated from the current budget, and so it would not take any expense to student government. Moreover, the funding would be given specifically to promotion, so it wouldn't be going to the Alexander Hamilton Society or anyone else. It would just come from the existing budget.
Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. That changes things if we're not giving money to him and it's just going to promotion. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you both. Rory and then Uma.
Yeah, I guess first off, just a clarification, he was never convicted of a felony. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor offense, but still, the criminal activity definitely was there. But my philosophy here is, I've met the guy. Did I particularly like him when I met him? No, I thought he was kind of annoying, but that's beside the point, because the guy was nominated elected 94-0 to be director of the CIA. He led American operations in Afghanistan and Iraq for years. He was a distinguished medal recipient for multiple engagements. The guy is well known in basically every circle. And yes, obviously he has a criminal record, but that was related to him basically pillow talking classified information to his mistress, something obviously we shouldn't condone. But it wasn't as if this guy was committing treason or something in a negative way. And so I think putting that aside, hearing his opinions about the world, and especially doing it, sort of contributing to that intellectual environment, is really important. I mean, frankly, in my opinion, Wake doesn't get a lot of major names to come and speak here, for better or for worse. And I think that when we have the opportunity to bring someone in like this, even if they are even a little bit controversial, not even from a political standpoint, just from a past standpoint, I think that we would benefit greatly from hearing his opinion, and especially because, again, the Senate's not providing money for it, or at least we're not paying him. We're not endorsing the views or anything related to that. We're merely saying, hey, this is a speaker that we think students would be genuinely interested in hearing and whose opinion we think people could be interested in hearing. We want to bring him into the school. I mean, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think, frankly, this is sort of a non-issue to be seriously concerned about. Yeah, sorry, I spoke for a while on that.
You're good, Rory. Thank you. Uma, did you have something you wanted to say still?
Yeah, so 2 quick questions. First is that how big of a promotion are we talking about? And also, what would this legislation become a precedent for other organizations similar to the AHS and campus that would need, or if they would ask for funding or help for a promotional event from student council or student government?
So I guess to answer the latter question first, student government has had a long history of co-sponsoring events on campus. Indeed, that's why it is enshrined within our constitutions for that very purpose. I think the reason it just hasn't come up in a resolution this semester is obviously because we're still in the middle of a pandemic, as unfortunate as that is. And so we have not had the opportunity to actually debate and discuss a co-sponsorship resolution up to this date. I'm sorry, what was the first part of your question, Uma?
How big of a promotion are we thinking about?
Yeah, sorry. So the promotion itself wouldn't be too grand in scale. Essentially, we've calculated out how many posters we might need from the copy center, which is the $50 budget allocation. From there, we would just basically hang them around campus or distribute them. Caroline and I have discussed the possibility of making that an extracurricular activity pending student government interest. So we may proceed in that manner. But as far as the scale of the promotion, it wouldn't be too big. And the other thing too is that public relations might put some flyers or infographics out on our Instagram pages, but that's the extent of it. Thank you.
And to the point about extracurriculars, just a clarification, should this be co-sponsored by student government, it would automatically qualify to be an extracurricular. And if it's not co-sponsored, it's not an extracurricular. So just for that clarification for everyone. And then I saw one more hand raised.
Yeah, that was me. I just had a question about how are we going to determine in the future, like the question that was asked earlier, how are we going to determine what events we decide that we want to sponsor versus ones that we may deem to be something we don't want to associate student government with? And I was just wondering kind of the process that you guys went through in order to determine that for this specific case.
I really appreciate that question, Jackson. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I think an archival review process is somewhat necessary. It's because there really is no established concrete precedent for that. I will say, though, that if we're looking at this particular resolution, just echoing Rory's remarks earlier, General Petraeus does not present an immediate threat to the campus, unlike, for example, the pandemic disinformation campaign that was waged in the fall, which I was vehemently against. So in that regard, I think that might be one fine line we can look at. But again, I think General Petraeus's record speaks for itself. And frankly, if a politician doesn't have some dirt under their career resume or whatever else it may be, then they're probably not a politician, as depressing as that may be. But no, I do appreciate that question. I think it's something the Judiciary Committee is looking into more going forward, and something we can certainly discuss as well.
And then just to add to Ethan's point, we do have an partisan policy in student government. And so by nature of the fact that AHS is a nonpartisan organization, it is up to every senator to decide whether they think this figure is nonpartisan or bipartisan based on AHS. And you can vote accordingly to your personal view, but that is a guiding principle. So with that, the timer has gone off, and so we're going to move to vote on the actual legislation. Thank you everyone for a debate that was well-informed and very productive, I believe. And so I'm going to remind you, if you do not have your camera on now and you have not told me that you are turning your camera off for some specific reason, you cannot vote if your camera is not on. Your voting choices are yay, yes, and that is an affirmative vote for the legislation. You want to co-sponsor this event and you are okay with all the conditions of the therefore be it resolved. A nay or a no is that you do not want this to pass. You do not think student government should be co-sponsoring this event. And then an abstention is saying that you're voting, you're here, but you're not affirming or negating the legislation, and that will not count in the vote total. So with that, if you have any questions, you can make a parliamentary inquiry. Otherwise, Caroline, you're good to.
Okay, Brooke,
Yes.
Michael Burstein,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Caroline Dixon, Caroline Dixon. Okay, I guess she's not here. Caroline Wright.
Yes.
Okay, Tim Erday,
Yes.
Jack Lewis,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Uma,
Abstain.
Mackenzie,
Yes.
Isaiah,
Yes.
Nancy Walker,
Yes.
Gabby Zenos,
Yes.
Mariama,
Abstain.
Nick Briggs,
Yes.
Kanisha,
Yes.
Ethan,
Aye.
Marion,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Vivian,
Yes.
Ava,
Yes.
CJ,
Yes.
Abby,
Yes.
Gabby De La Vega,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Emma,
Yes.
Nick Dowling,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
Tanya,
Yes.
Khalil,
Yes.
Pilar,
No.
Michael Walsh, Michael Walsh. Okay. Rory,
Yes.
Aria,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Jacob,
Abstain.
Will,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Armand,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Essex,
Yes.
Sydney,
Yes.
Amon,
Aye.
Braden,
Yay.
Okay, that's it.
Caroline, can you send me the vote totals? But the resolution passes. We just need to announce
Yeah.
the total since it's not unanimous. One second, everyone.
Just a second, almost done.
All right, with a vote of 42 yeses, 1 no, and 3 abstentions, the resolution passes. Thank you, Ethan and Nick, and thank you everyone for a great debate. We will move on to the next portion of our agenda, which is reports. I will share my screen, but Miles, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Ellie, and good evening, everybody. I hope everybody got to go outside today. It was really nice out. Hope everybody got to enjoy that, especially the Manchester fireside. Actually get to enjoy it this time instead of no rain. And also thank you to Ethan and Nick for that great resolution. General Petraeus is a great infantry officer and a great general in the United States Army. Just some updates for this week. So my meeting with Vice President Rue just got rescheduled for this Thursday. So whatever points, if you have any questions or anything for Vice President Rue or myself, just go into that meeting, just let me know. I had a meeting with Provost Kirsch just yesterday, and we discussed some of the issues and mistakes made across the ways with obviously the COVID issue and surge. He expressed that obviously, going back to the drawing board and making sure that, the same mistakes don't happen again. And of course, preventing those mistakes from happening going forward, especially with if there is another surge or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. So if you have any questions to Provost Kirsch, also, he opened his door to everybody. So if you have any questions for him about that or the process, he's more than happy to answer anything for you. Just let me know. Then my last point is just better days are ahead. We've got out the surge. The gym is back open. ZSR, the pit, you can go sit down now. So just don't take that for granted. Make sure that you all emphasize to your people, your constituents, that they should still, follow the guidelines, even though we're back to where we need to be, but emphasis on following the guidelines and making sure they do the right thing. And I think that will just help us continue on into the future. So unless you all have anything for me, that's it. Thank you.
Any questions for Miles's report? Okay, we can move on to my report then. So the next Senate that we will have Title IX presentation from Director Cassius. She's new. And so that's not the coming Tuesday because we have off that day, but the following Tuesday, I believe it's March 9th. And then I just got word today that the Office of Admissions would like a panel from student government for new students or accepted students in April. We have yet to pick a date, but we will need 2 additional senators probably to be on that panel. They've asked that Miles and I do it. And so stay tuned. Once we have a date and a time, we will be reaching out to try to figure out who else can do it. The goal would be to have 2 other students who represent probably different grades and different committees, just to diversify the presence. So more information to come soon on that one, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up. All of the constituent concern forms that came in before Sunday at about 8 p.m. have been sent to the appropriate committees. They will be directly reaching out to those constituents when appropriate to answer their concerns. And then if they're COVID related, Kate and Jackson will be looking into some of those as well. It was a good number of concerns, but that form is still open, and Drew will talk about it a little bit more. But if your constituents have concerns and they would prefer to send them in a format that is accessible online without having to send it to you, they can certainly do that. And then I have been doing co-chair check-ins with Ms. McNeil for this week so far, and we'll continue doing it through the end of the week. So that's really exciting. We're really happy to have the support. And then just a side comment, I want to remind everybody that the student government group chats we have, there are 2 of them for a reason. The announcements chat is just for announcements from either exec, co-chairs, or in the chance that you're in a committee and you have an announcement related to student government. Questions, side conversations, things like that should be in the social chat, and just please remember to keep it appropriate and respectful because this is a diverse group of students and we need to be cognizant of that. So with that in mind, does anyone have any questions? Okay, then we will move on to Victoria.
Hi guys, we didn't have SBAC today and we're not having it next week for the Wellness Day. So our next SBAC will be on March 9th. And then the final budget presentations are this Thursday, and then I'll start working on the overall budget.
Any questions for Victoria? Okay, Caroline.
Hi, everyone. So I met with the PR co-chairs last week about a post for virtual exec office hours. Exec will start having office hours virtually, and that's just so we're available to constituents who want to talk to us directly about any concerns. So excited about that. And then also, as far as extracurriculars, now that we're back into Orange, we can start having more things in person again. So thanks to everyone who volunteered at the food truck tonight. And then we're also able to start back SG socials. So each week I'll put something in the group me about that, and you can sign up there. It's a really easy way to get an extracurricular and meet other people in student government. So please sign up for that. And then finally, there's no Senate on March 2nd. So a week off. That's all.
Any questions for Caroline? Okay, Drew.
Hey everyone. So continuing to work on PLS with Dean Wilkinson and Miles. And then Ali spoke about it earlier, but the constituent concern form, after discussion with cabinet, we decided that we're going to just keep the name and email required, but we're going to put in there ensuring everyone that that information would not leave either the exec officer or the committee handling the concern. So hopefully that allows people to express their concerns freely. But that is all for, and just continuing work with Kate and Jackson, but that's all for me.
Thank you, Drew. Sorry, I thought I clicked through, but my mouse was on the wrong place. Does anyone have questions for Drew? Okay, then our lovely advisors, Shauna McNeil and Tim Wilkinson. I believe that Ms. McNeil is here. Any report from our advisors? Okay, we'll be back after the committees. Academic.
Everyone, so not too much this week. We started planning for Faculty Appreciation Week, and that's going to be at the beginning of April, probably the week of April 4th. And we're addressing concern about grading scale publication and syllabi.
Any questions for academic? Okay, campus life. Do you have anything to report?
Nothing new other than Mental Health Week. The sports psychologist who works with athletes reached out to us, to Dave and I. So we're going to try to get an athlete-facing Mental Health Week event with them. And then thank you for coming to the food trucks. Last time I checked, 266 people came. So that's double what we had the last time we had it. So thank you. That's it.
Any questions for campus life? Okay, DNI.
The only thing is that there's focus groups coming up probably mid-March around the President's Commission on Race, Equity, and Community and the working group. So kind of just action plans. And I want to hear from students. So keep an eye out for that and let me know if you know anybody who's interested.
Any questions for DNI? Okay, Judiciary.
We are resuming the archival review process, thankfully, next week, which of course is relevant tonight. So it should be a fruitful review process. We're going to have to delay the Canvas course publication by at least 1 week. Ali Clayton is out of the office currently, most likely taking some much needed rest after what was a very stressful couple of weeks on campus. So more to come on that. One other note on the code of conduct stuff is that if you have any specific input on what you might like to see on that Canvas course, any particular messaging or policies which you might like to see addressed, please just email me or Sydney, and we'd be happy to include that in our broader conversation. And then one final note is that our Democracy Week simulation, we've decided to hold that on March 10th from around 6 to 7 p.m. A sign-up link, I think we can link in the chat in a moment, but we'd really appreciate it if you came on out and tell us what your thoughts are. It should be a fun simulation, and we'd love to see you there. So thanks all.
And it's an extracurricular. Who said that? Any questions for judiciary? Okay, then we will move on to PR.
Hi, everyone. So we're making graphics for Mental Health Week. We have some logo ideas kind of come up with, so we're probably going to be sharing that with Campus Life probably sometime this week. We have a meeting with physical planning, that's the word, that's a tongue twister. Plan for Friday to talk about Earth Week. We're also working on like a Google form type idea to maybe have make like the process of requesting graphics from us a little more easier. So there's more to come on that. Yeah, thanks for posting graphics and just continue to do so. Thanks.
Questions for PR? Okay, fiscal planning. Anything to report?
Hey guys, sorry for the lack of the slide today, but we have a few things. We're meeting with Mr. Wise at our bi-weekly meeting next Monday. Jimmy is meeting with Mr. Wise as well shortly about the Deacon. Oh wow, not the Deacon. Wow, Deacon for Deacon dining, but for the Benson dining option. So that's exciting. We're also working on sorting through the constituent concerns, and we'll reach out to Jackson and Kate about that as we have a lot of overlap with sort of the new COVID committee. And yes, we're meeting with PR on Friday to begin discussing Earth Week graphics for the events in April. So very exciting stuff going on.
Any questions for physical planning? Okay, Sock.
What's up, guys? Yeah, really good week for us. We met with Shauna on Monday morning, bright and early. Allie was also there. It was a good time. Got a lot of great stuff in store. Chartering looks like it's going to come back after a like 2-year hiatus. So get fired up for that. Our committee is going to be reviewing chartering, kind of the overhaul documents that we created back in the day, and kind of updating those and editing them for the COVID time. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also we have a plan for meeting with existing organizations, so having our committee members meet with different organizations on campus one-on-one in regards to COVID issues, so kind of expanding on the survey we did last semester, but getting more in depth with certain organizations. And then also will be reaching out to organizations that applied for charters back in the day when chartering was a thing, and seeing how they're doing, if they would be interested in applying for a charter still. That way, when the process opens back up, hopefully very beginning of the fall, they will be the first in line.
Any questions for SOC? This is exciting, guys. We are having clubs again. All right, we will go back then to reports from our advisors, Ms. McNeil or Tim.
Hey y'all, we finally made it inside from the food trucks. We've got some feedback to get to you about that, so I'll jot up some notes and get those to Allie and Miles, so we can talk it through. It was a really huge success. I think we had 260 people who attended tonight, so that was good, and the overlap into trivia seems to be going well also. You heard from all the committee chairs. We met this week, so good things are happening there. Let's see. We've got a busy week. If you are following the student engagement Instagram, we put out here's what you can expect this week. We'll probably start doing that going forward. So students will know kind of events that are coming up. I think that's it. Has Tim made it on yet?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
Bite your tongue. I am right here.
Okay, I'm doing a lot of things at once, Tim.
Tim, am I missing anything else?
I don't think so. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim. And if you could all
You,
do that in the
Tim.
future for Shauna, I would appreciate that. I don't have much. Shauna hit everything, and obviously we just got in, so my report is not prepped. Just from a COVID perspective, numbers are absolutely getting better. So I don't want to get ahead of myself because we are solidly orange, but I can tell you that the movement towards yellow is real. So a lot really depends in the next few weeks, especially weather's going to go back and forth a little bit, but using tonight as an example, people were happy to be out. So we know that we're going to have to double down on efforts. So, I would just think about what can you all do to help continue to spread word on that. I'm excited about that. Also, can we all continue to spread the word both in student government and student organizations that now that we are back out of the surge, we would like to get Benson filled up. Knowing that student union is doing trivia and movies, and it sounds like you were all excited about trying to figure out a plan to do the food trucks for the rest of the semester, which I'm very excited about. Saturday night programs are beginning to fill up. Some of our traditional TEDx, we're talking about a revised Shag on the Mag. We're talking about a virtual campus concert as well as some new things. But we absolutely want to get that space filled. So, and not just Saturday nights, but most of the week. So if you could spread the word on that. Lastly, I would like to rebut Rory Britt's statement that it's been 2 years since we had charters. It has been approximately 1 year. So do not let the disinformation spread. Thank you very much.
Split the difference and call it 1.65 or something.
1 year. It has been 1 year since we froze the chartering process. It was spring break last year. Let's be very clear.
I'm going to push back on that, Tim. No, we froze the semester before going into the changing of the process.
Rory Britt and I will look into this and we'll get back to you.
All right.
1.65. I'm really calling it. Ethan, you have a question.
I was just curious to know how we got the 260 people number for the food truck event. Was it like a head count, or did we just track who purchased something?
Rory or Ethan, I am shocked and appalled that you do not know about Cork. Yeah, I'm joking, but we used Cork. So Cork has a check-in process. So we didn't break it down by food truck. We just swiped both sides. So, thank you all who helped out tonight. Yes, get Cork back on your phone, peeps.
Any other questions? Okay, then we can move back through the rest of our reports and end up at COVID updates. Does Drew or Jackson have anything they want to update on that?
Yeah, so hey everyone. Couple things we've been working on. So we emailed Matt Clifford about the guest policy in the dorms. And he said that we know the virus is spreading in our residential communities through small interactions. Once we have more information from testing, we will reevaluate our guest policy and return it to normal when we can. And he expects that we'll be able to revisit it sometime this week after the random results come in. And then we also are talking to him about seeing, now that we're out of the spike and that the move to yellow is very real, that we might try and get some common areas and kitchens / study rooms open. We'll have to talk to him a little bit about that. And then we also sent an email to some of the people who were protesting outside of campus beginning of last weekend. And we're going to see if we can set a meeting with them to talk about their concerns, but a little bit an update in there. And then I think Kate had something to add as well.
Yeah, hey everyone. Hope y'all are having a good Tuesday. I also just wanted to bring up the constituent concern form on our end. So we got a lot of concerns, pretty wide variety of concerns too. Generally, a lot of questions about quarantine policy, like case numbers on campus, quarantine students in res halls. So we'll be reaching out to the relevant people to get those answers and then email those students.
Thank you both. Any questions for either Jackson or Kate or both of them? Okay, we will move through the rest of our agenda then. So moving on, does anyone have a Senate report? Any constituent concerns, please raise your hand. CJ.
Yeah, this one's kind of recent. I just had a bunch of guys who are coming back from the pit today. They saw the new signs posted by, I want to say it was the Wake Women's Center. And they were just kind of, I mean, some of the guys didn't like them. We're just kind of confused on the reasoning for them, and just why they're out there. So it was the kind of sentiment I got from a bunch of guys.
CJ, could you provide more detail as to the content? I've not seen them yet.
I mean, I don't know how many there were. There's probably I saw a couple of them going by. I think one of them that in particular got sent to me. Actually, I might have a picture of it. It was wait, hold on, let me make sure it said that guy, it was like a quote, and said that guy in ZSR probably wouldn't cry in front of you. And they just, it was kind of, I think it was more about masculinity and things like that. And guys were just a little confused by it as to why the sudden, I don't know, with everything going on with COVID and stuff, it just seemed kind of out of place. There wasn't a reason for it. And yeah, I think that it was more just confusion.
May I offer a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
I'd advise, let's reach out to Steph Trilling, the director of the Women's Center, and invite the Women's Center to talk about their campaigns with us, because I think I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that they're talking about masculinity and kind of norms and perceptions, but let's reach out and potentially bring them in and have a dialogue and learn more about what they're doing.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure who to direct them to because I didn't know if any committees dealt with that in particular, but yeah, I'll pass that along. That we'll try and get them involved.
CJ, I have a meeting with Steph Trilling this week if you want to just send me an email.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Aria?
Yeah, kind of addressing CJ's point, I am on a little committee with Steph Trilling and some other people for Women's History Month. I wasn't at the most recent meeting, but I'm guessing that that's what those signs may be about. Just to kind of inform you where, because it's Women's History Month is coming up. So that might be why. I don't know, because I haven't been to the most recent meeting, but that was just
Rachel just sent a message in the chat with a link. So that might also be helpful. Thank you, Aria. Any other constituent concerns? Any announcements? Yeah, Ethan.
Just a quick note, if any of you signed up last semester to do the Democracy Week simulation, please sign up again just so we know that you would like to attend the spring simulation. Thank you.
Please sign up. It's really important that they get to test this and that we have enough involvement.
Can I add something real quick? Is that okay? We've been working on this since last fall, since before the presidential election. So a lot of thought and time and effort has gone into this. So if we can get y'all's feedback, that would be amazing if y'all would be willing to sign up.
Any other announcements? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Anyone opposed, use the raise hand function now. All right, happy Tuesday, everyone. Have a good rest of your week. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you.
Thank
you.